I believe Mr. Lighthizer is supposed to be here in front of this committee tomorrow. Tomorrow, I think at 3 o'clock. And he has been here in public and in private on numerous occasions up until now, as has Mr. Ross. So I think, you know, I want to ask you a question, Mr. Pascrell. If you are in a high-stakes poker game and you're the last one left and your opponent goes all in and he asks you if he, or you go all in and your opponent asks you to show you his hand before he decides if he's going to bet, what are you going to do? Yeah, and I want you to answer that.
Chairman.
I want you to answer that.
Gentleman has yielded you, Mr. Pascal.
Thank you. Thank you.
Are you going to show your opponent your hand?
I'm sorry?
Are you going to show your opponent your hand before he bets?
You want to answer for me, or you want me to answer?
I'm asking you, are you going to show your opponent your hand before he bets?
I know where you're coming from. I know you believe that, before I answer the question, I know you believe the president could do no wrong. So let me answer it in that vein.
No. Just answer the question. Would you show your opponent your hand, yes or no?
I'm going to answer the question.
Okay, I'm waiting.
Because if you're in negotiations and trade, let me teach you something about trade since you want to.
I'm sorry, I can't give you all my time. I reclaim my time.
Gentlemen,
the point is.
I'll answer it later.
The point is that whether you're playing poker or whether you're in high stakes,
I'm a good poker player.
You do not disclose.
Would the gentleman suspend Ms. Pascrell?
I am a good poker player.
Mr. Rice, so we will stipulate to that. Now, if you could be a good
Mr. Chairman,
listener.
I object. He is not a very good poker player.
All in favor? So, Mr. Rice, you have the floor in our rapt attention.
You do not disclose your complete negotiating strategy, obviously, and you don't disclose where your bottom line is. You want to get the best deal that you can for the people that you represent, in this case, the American worker. And I think it is amazing how far we've come and how quickly we've gotten here. You know, the president announced these tariffs, I think they applied in March. And here we sit in September, 6 months later. These countries have advantages over the American workers and over the American economy. Do you think that they are going to walk in and just say, you know what, you're right, we give that up? Of course they're not. Pressure has to be applied. And the president has applied pressure, and the Congress has been notified we have an agreement with Mexico now. They're finalizing the details. We have an agreement with Mexico, and the terms that have been disclosed on this agreement are very favorable to American workers, many of which you have asked for. I have sat here and listened to you talk to Secretary Ross and Mr. Lighthizer about labor conditions in Mexico, and some of those things are in this new agreement.
How do you know that?
And I have sat here and listened to you talk about China taking advantage of us on intellectual property, and the president is working toward those. These things, these steps, these agreements these problems have been long overlooked and have been we've been needing to address them for decades. Our lack of attention to these things over the last 30 years has absolutely cost the American middle class. I'm proud of the president for taking this on. I don't like tariffs, I don't like retaliation, I don't like subsidies, but I will tell you, the American middle class, once this process is over and we have a fairer trade system, the American middle class will be better off.
Gentleman's time has expired. We've had a good, thoughtful discussion, at least a fulsome discussion. Votes will be called in about 5 minutes' time. So if each member can make the points concisely, I think we have a chance of finishing this out. Ms. Chu, you're recognized. Strike the last word.
I offer my support of Mr. Pascrell's resolution.